Kia ora koutou and welcome to Ngā Motu Beach here in Taranaki, where we have the New Zealand Schools Triathlon Champs happening at the Taranaki Festival. This is set to be a big day of triathlon here on the coast in Taranaki. And right now we have the under 14 boys and girls out there racing, and the under 16s there on the beach doing their race briefing. And as you can see, there's a little bit of surf coming in there. Stephen Sheldrake joining me in the commentary booth.
Yeah, good morning, Hayden. It's awesome to be here, and as you said, a bit of a wave rolling in here at Ngā Motu Beach. It's a lot cleaner than I thought it was going to be today. After all accounts, I talked to a local Shorty Clark here who works at the port, who was telling me it was going to be quite bumpy and rough a few days ago. So it's nice. We've got dry weather. The roads are drying out, and great numbers of athletes down here today. As we can see on the screen, we've got the under 16 athletes just getting their final briefing before they start in about approximately 10 minutes' time. We've had racing started at 8 o'clock this morning, and we've had the under 12s and 13s finishing, and the under 14s about to come to a finish, and great close racing going on at the moment.
Yeah, so it looks like the under 14 race has been taken out by Alec Ball. So well done is Ollie Aitken coming through for the win from Christ College, with Alec Ball in second place from Fielding High School, and from Trident High School, Xavier Christie taking out the third spot. But beautiful shots coming here from the sky, at Ngā Motu Beach, and we're going to get underway with this under 16s race in a couple of minutes. It's a 300 metre swim, 10k bike, 4 laps of this 2.5k course, and then a 3k run to sprint it home.
Yeah, it's great. Certainly a challenging course here. It's not a flat course where everyone can sit on and wait for the run. It's an honest beach start surf swim here at the beach. They'll make their way back up the transition, and they've got to navigate their way up now Bailey's Hill. It's a little punchy sort of 30-second climb, and then they go out and do another decent hill out there on the course. And, we've got turns and hills and wet roads to deal with, and then we come back down and we do a fairly flattish run. And as we go throughout the day, the distances will increase. But for these under 14s and under 16s, they've had to do a 300-metre swim, a 9.8-kilometre ride, and a 3-kilometre run. But, stunning shots of Ngā Motu Beach, and great to see everyone back here doing sport again, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Stephen, talk us through, we can see the waves coming there through on the screen. Talk us through these beach starts when there's a little bit of a chop, little bit of surf to get through. How do you approach this? Do you just sprint on head first into the water and crash in, or do you have a little bit of technique going into this?
Yeah, certainly technique helps. I'm from Gisborne and I grew up on the beach, so I love this sort of stuff. And this is where triathlon started back in the heyday. And, it's another skill set, being able to run into surf, lift your knees up, and then do a bit of a porpoise dive. It goes deep fairly quickly here, so you probably only need to do 2 or 3 porpoise dives, and then you get up and swimming. But, as you see, a little bit of a wave, you've got to be able to sight where the buoys are, make your way out and navigate your way around the course. So, at this age, we're going to have a number of kids that come from a pool background. They're used to going up and down a black line, and they may be great swimmers, but, if they've spent enough time out in the open water to learn these skills, it will be a telling factor. And, they said it's a good, honest course, and having these skill set makes an interesting racing.
So as our athletes get ready, we are just a few seconds away. You can see them getting lined up there. Our officials doing a great job of organising this. So you can see the tide is just sort of marching its way up the beach. We're set for a high tide at 10:30 today, and then some of the later races this afternoon will be in the lower tide. But here we go. The boys are off with their pink swim caps. As you say, those porpoise dives getting going, and a good start there out on the left by the man without the wetsuit.
Yeah, exactly. He's obviously a very good swimmer, and he's great rating. When the water's a little bit choppier, we're used to those, in the pool we're used to long, slow strokes. But the open water, it's about rating a little bit more and just sitting a little bit higher so you can get your head up and sight where you're going. These boys and girls today in this age group are doing a 300-metre swim. So they're going to have about, it's a square. It's an anti-clockwise square. It's about 100 metres out to the first yellow buoy. They'll do a left-hand turn, another 100 metres along the back straight, and then a left-hand turn back into the finish. And as you see the drone panning out, they're making their way out to that left-hand buoy where they'll do a turn. And at that point there, you tend to see the athletes spread out a little bit because it gets bunched up a little bit and you have to wait for people to get around. And then you'll see the front guys and girls just spread out a little bit more.
Great scenes here at Ngā in Taranaki. Great shots coming from the sky.
When you see it from here, it doesn't look that rough, does it? It looks fairly smooth, but I can guarantee, having just been down on the beach, that it is a little bit rougher than that. As you said, high tide is about an hour and a half away. Northerly today, coming straight on. There's not much movement. There's no movement left or right. It's just a straight out, which makes it nice and easy. And, big yellow buoys for them to cider off.
Yeah, you can see those little lines of swell coming through. So for those unfamiliar with Ngā Beach, it's basically in a port where it's totally closed off except for one little window. And basically the swell is sort of coming through that window following that northerly breeze in. So that's why we've got a few little lines coming through, which will keep things interesting, particularly at this stage of the swim as they get towards that second buoy and turn in, and then they'll have a little bit of assistance pulling them back into shore.
Yeah, as you see, the spread out now. So, it's a good spread from the sort of the leading swimmer to the back end is probably about 80 metres. And, just talking about that swell, I was just on the beach before, that breakwater, you've got waves actually smashing over the top of that. So it does an amazing job in regards to stopping that swell coming through and keeping it, a little bit flatter in here at the moment. As we see our first swimmer just making his left-hand turn, and then he will look up. There's a big Suzuki banner on the beach, a big archway that he will side off and make his way through to transition 2.
So for those wondering how the under-14s went, the under-14 boys have finished up. Ollie Aitken took that out ahead of Alec Ball and Xavier Christie in third place. And then the under-14 girls are shortly going to finish with Hayley Cornwell currently with a nice healthy lead. So she will be expected to come into the finish very shortly.
So you see the boys making their way towards the beach. You'll see them swim 2 or 3 strokes, look up just to make sure that they're going straight, particularly that lead swimmer. All the rest of them will be a bit like sheep and following them where they go and hoping he's going in the right direction. But with only 100 metres into shore, it'll be fairly much a straight line. That last yellow one that you see on the screen at the moment, that's just a sighter one. So they can go either left or right-hand side of that one. There's only the far 2 ones that they had to keep on the left side and go around. As we see the girls lining up, they're starting exactly 5 minutes after the boys, and they'll be getting their last-minute briefings, and they'll make their way into the water and start heading out.
So water temperatures 19 degrees, not too chilly, being that we're now well into autumn. But Stephen Sheldrake, what would you be choosing for? You've got that trade-off of a little bit of warmth, a little bit of flotation with the wetsuit, but that extra time to get them off in T1.
Oh, I'd be definitely wearing it today if I had that option. They're certainly faster. This long, they've got a fairly long run, a long transition. So they've probably got about a 100-metre run up into transition. You'll see them coming out of the water then. They'll strip it down to halfway. And when they get to their bicycle, they will pull down the legs and they'll put their helmet on at the same time. It's all sort of fairly fluid and quickly as we see big bunches coming through here at the moment.
Yeah, Matthew Nay leading them out of the water. He's got a 12-second lead over Harry Summers and Cameron Mortar. And Finn McKenzie is in 4th place. Lucas Reid in 5th place, 18 seconds back.
Yeah, and a little bit biased in that. Matthew's from Gisborne, from my hometown. He's certainly a very good athlete and expected to be right up there today. He has 2 other brothers that do triathlon. One of them, Josiah's racing a little bit later on today. He recently got announced into the national tracking squads. So a family that are very good, have grown up as triathletes. As you said, he's got a 12-second lead on Cameron Munda, 16-second lead on Finn McKenzie. And then we've got Lucas Reid. He comes from a fairly famous family. Shane, his dad, represented New Zealand at the 2008 Olympics. And a little throwback, Shane he led out the swim at the Beijing Olympics. So his swimming's in the background. Tammy, his mum, does a lot of coaching and involved with the regional youth academies out of Palmerston. So it's definitely in the blood. And following Lucas out of the swim was Harry Summers, Logan Campbell, Benjamin Airy, Finley Oliver, Cohen Anderson.
And only 40 seconds separating all those boys. So nice close racing in the swim. As we see the girls heading out to the first buoy, heading out into the blue water of the port here in Taranaki.
Yeah, it's amazing technology nowadays with drones, the footage that we can get. And a big thank you to all the lifeguards that you see out there supporting and making sure that athletes are safe on there.
So just getting into his clips is one of our cyclists on the bike course, and they will have 10K to ride with 4 laps of the roughly 2.5K course. And you can see them just going up the little rise up the back here.
Yeah, a tough little one to navigate here. So when they've come out of the transition 2, they basically have only got about 100 metres. They go a left-hand turn and then they've got to go up a hill. So some of them, they may choose to ride all the way up the hill with their feet on top of the pedals or shoes and then put their feet in. And while some of them will be doing them as they go up the hill. But as they come out of that port area, they've still got Bailey's Road, which is quite steep. So it's probably a good suggestion that they've actually got their feet in both shoes. It may not be done up at that stage, just to be able to pull on the shoes going up the hill. And then they'll do the right-hand turn at the top onto the main road where they can tighten them up as we see them now.
It's all those little transition things that can play a massive part in the sport of triathlon. It's not just swim, bike, run. We've got fourth sport, of course, which is the transition and all those little logistics of working out when those shoes are going to go on.
Yeah, definitely. So these under 16s, it's a non-drafting event, and the under 19s, the age groups, you'll see them riding behind each other, right behind each other. So if you draft, you're going to save about 30-40%. You'll see in the older age groups, they'll work together as a group. They'll try and keep away from the faster runners that don't swim so well. And, but this under 16 age group, they need to keep a gap of about 10 metres like the second rider's doing currently at the moment.
And Stephen, even at 10 metres, you'll feel a small effect, and maybe more so, it's that mental effect of making sure that rubber band doesn't stretch and stay in contact.
Yeah, definitely. You key off that rider. You know what I mean? You're sort of following their cadences, you're following their lines and these uphills and downhills a little bit. But it's just good to key off. So whilst you're not getting a massive drafting effect off them, you're certainly getting the benefit of being able to ride off them.
You can see how close we are to the busy port here in Taranaki.
There's a few logs there to get on boats soon, isn't it?
It looks like there's a good lead in this under 16 girls New Zealand Schools champs. One swimmer has made a solid breakaway as they have reached that second buoy. And they go past that other yellow buoy, and then they'll see a big chute with Suzuki written all over it, and that's where they'll head up towards T1.
Yeah, it's great shots of Matthew Nay. He's a very good cyclist, I can tell you that. He hurts me every Tuesday in Gisborne. We have our World Champ cycling race every week, and yeah, I've got to the age where all the young kids are starting to kick me now. So, he's a very, very strong rider. I wouldn't be surprised if he does put a bit of a gap onto it and try and keep away from those faster runners.
Right, the first of our swimmers is coming out in this under 16 girls competition, takes the goggles off, runs up the beach. And no wetsuit to worry about on this occasion.
No, definitely. So she's obviously a very strong swimmer, dare say, from a pool swimming background, and has been able to gap everybody without a wetsuit. And as you said, the speed and transition 2 will be a little bit quicker as we see the under 16 teams just making their way into the beach today. So, some of those athletes didn't feel comfortable out doing the whole race themselves, they're fairly new to the sport or from single discipline sports. They've got the ability to be able to put a team together with a separate swimmer, cyclist and runner and form a team for whatever school they're representing here today.
So it's Talitha McEwen leading out the women in this under 16s race, coming through in a good solid time, under 5 minutes for that 300 metres. including the sprint up the beach.
Yeah, as you see, as I said before, you know, I mean, they exit the water and then they strip it down to halfway. They take their swimming, their cap and goggles off, and they must carry that all the way out the transition too. You're not allowed to leave any equipment on the run up to the beach. They'll get to their bike and then they'll take their wetsuit completely off, keep it in a space right next to their bike, put their helmet on. That's one of the key rules in triathlon, that the helmet is on and done up before they leave the transition. As we see another shot of number 1637, that's Matthew Nay again. He's currently leading the under 16 boys, and when he comes through we'll give you a split and we'll see if he's managed to hold his gap or he's increasing that.
So the girls race, we've had a bunch go through T1 and onto the bike. Talitha McEwen has that lead. It's a 40-second lead at T1. Renee Carey is sitting there in second place and 8 seconds back to Lulu Johnson. And then it's Izzy Bannister is the fourth athlete to go through T1. 49 seconds back from the leader. So we've got 5 athletes currently inside 1 minute from Talitha, who has a nice healthy little lead getting out onto this 10k bike course.
Yeah, it's a very nice lead, and yeah, it will be interesting to see if, how the cycling goes. Beauty about triathlon, it can be such an evener in regards to sort of trying to learn 3 different sports, and you'll find at these younger ages there will be some very strong single discipline athletes that just started triathlon and giving the 3 sports a go. As we see Matthew Nay make his turn down the far end of the course, navigated his way fairly carefully around that. As I said, the roads are starting to dry up a little bit with a little bit of rain overnight. As we see the first of the girls making their way up the hill, as you'll see the feet are still on top of the shoes, so this young lady's decided that she'll go up the hill and then she'll start thinking about getting her feet into the shoes. The key's to get your speed up, tighten up one shoe, get your speed up again, and then tighten up the other shoe. It's all done at speed. The unofficial fourth discipline of triathlon. Transitions.
So there you can see them getting out onto the course as Matthew Nay just keeps on hammering those pedals, and he does need to because Cameron Morder is 16 seconds back behind him. Finn McKenzie another 10 seconds behind him, and Lucas Reed just 1 second on his tail. So we're just past a quarter of the way through the boys cycle course.
Yeah, good close racing. You know, I mean, looks like there's a group of about 2 or 3 sort of, you know, riding 10 metres apart, but they're all keying off each other and trying to catch up to Matthew Nay there. Interesting to see the different cadences that they're riding. Some of them tending to push slightly too big a gear. You see Matthew's got a little bit of upper body movement. He probably needs just to spin a little bit more. We always try and recommend that they're riding at about a 90 to 100 cadence, because when they get off that run, they're going to have to run at a similar type cadence. As we just see Matthew doing a left-hand turn. This is the one down at the Bailey's Road. This is one of the trickier bits. They're coming down a hill on to a left-hand turn, off camber at speed with damp roads, but he navigated that fairly well. Urge the athletes all today to urge on the side of caution, because obviously we want them to get back to the finish in one piece.
And we haven't had rain here in Taranaki for a couple of weeks, so it means that that little shower that we had overnight is just going to grease up those roads and make it pretty slippy, as you say. So technical riding here this morning, but all these athletes are up for the challenge. They knew what was coming their way, and look, we've got the rugby pads on the lampposts just to protect these athletes and make sure they stay nice and safe. So a little narrow section going up Bailey Hill, and then they head on to this out and back here where you can really wind up and get up to speed.
Yeah, definitely, and I can tell you a story about those rugby pads. It must be about 6-7 years ago when we had one of the World Cup races. Tyler Mislachuk, he won the test event in Tokyo 2 years ago. He's one of the favourites for Tokyo this year. He, as a young athlete, came through there at speed, misjudged that and went straight into it, and
Wow.
had a fair bit of dental damage. It required him to be in hospital here for a while, but you know, he recovered well and is one of the best athletes in the world as we speak. So as we see, it looks like maybe the teams, I think maybe from the under 16s, just making their way into transition 2. They'll be have a tag zone area where they'll tag their cyclist, and they'll make their way out onto the course. So a full day of racing here at Ngāmutu Beach. We started at 8 o'clock this morning with the under 12s and under 13s. And throughout the morning, we will be going through all the individual events, through the different age groups to the open races, where we'll see some of the best athletes in New Zealand racing here at New Plymouth. This afternoon, we have the tag team, the mixed team relay championships, where we, at the schools, will put together 4 athletes, 2 men, 2 women, and they will do their tag team relay here this afternoon. So a few of the boys looking around to see where their compatriots are. They're aware that there'll be draft busters out there, making sure that they ride within the rules of their sport, and that's they need to have a gap. You'll see that they'll bunch up around the corner. They'll be a little bit lenient, the officials, as they go around the corner, but then they'll be expected to create that gap, because this is a non-drafting race.
So at the moment we've got Matthew Ney in the lead. He's got a 12-second lead back to Cameron Mortar. So that lead is just closing up a little as they go through the halfway mark, and making some moves further back in the field is Benjamin Airy moving up a couple of places, and Logan Campbell also moving up a couple of places. So they are respectively 17 and 20 seconds back from Matthew Ney.
Yeah, great close racing from these boys. We've got 24 seconds that is separating the first 6. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens throughout the rest of the ride and then onto the run, as we see a number of athletes, some sort of just gone through their first lap and on their way out, and the others starting to approach the left-hand turn onto Bailey's Road to navigate their way through that narrow, tricky turnaround for each mark. Road's starting to dry out there, Hayden, a little bit, which is great. As you said, no rain for 3 weeks can make it fairly greasy the first time that it rains and brings everything up to the surface.
So these athletes doing the 2.5k course or 2.3k course, and later in the day when we get into the longer distances, the sprint distances, they'll be using the course that goes up the hill that we usually use for the World Cup, and head up towards Back Beach. So that incorporates a good little grizzly hill that those athletes will have to contend with. But the under 16s just have that Bailey Hill, and then this tricky 180 degree hairpin out towards the port.
Yeah, looks like a lead girl that came out of the water with no wets on. So with the camera following, I dare say still leading the race.
Yeah, she's got a 27-second lead over Izzy Bannister. So Talitha McEwen currently in the lead after that great swim, and currently doing well to hold it together after one lap. So there you go. There's a good look at New Plymouth and the port. We've got Paratutu there, that steep rock. And then the smokestack, of course, one of the iconic images of New Plymouth, not used these days.
Mate, I see the wind wand's missing at the moment. Where's it gone?
Yes, yeah. So it was taken down for repairs, actually. I turned up one morning running along the foreshore, and then it's
disappeared.
It's being lifted up by a helicopter. So it wasn't stolen. It was just getting repaired. I think every 20 years or so they need to make sure it's not going to snap. So here's Matthew Ney trying to keep off that chasing pack behind him.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely using his strengths. As I said before, he's got a strong cycling background, and he's going to want to make sure that he's got a nice little gap. He comes to the far turn. You'll see that there's a number of athletes on the road now. It's just something else that they have to navigate. And it's sort of keeping out of the way of the others and making sure that they don't chop you off.
So at 7.5k, so that's 3/4 of the way through this bike course, Matthew Ney had a 24-second lead on Benjamin Airy. So just opening up that lead a little bit after it started to close on the second lap of the bike course. Finn McKenzie's making some moves up the field as well. He's sitting in 3rd place. Logan Campbell is in 4th, and Lucas Reed in 5th place, but there's only 33 seconds still splitting this field from 1st to 5th. Now that's enough if you've got the run legs to over 3k to pull back a 30-second lead. depending what sort of legs Matthew Nay's got left in him.
Yeah, he's a big, strong kid. You know what I mean? I'd say swimming and cycling are his strengths. He's still a good runner, and he's going to be wanting sort of 30 to 40 second lead at least going into this final run.
So if you've just joined us here in Taranaki and on the coverage live on Sky Sport Next on the YouTube channel, it's great to have your company here at the Taranaki Festival. You are watching the New Zealand Schools Triathlon Champs, the 2021 edition. And last year it was in Wanaka, am I right, Stephen?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it was in February, so we just missed that sort of mid-March COVID lockdown.
Yes.
So yes, it is. It's sort of they rotate between North and South Islands. I think it's sort of maybe 2 times North Island and 1 time South Island. I think that's sort of the rotation that they do use. As we see some of our cyclists, this is at the end of each lap. So I think this is still Matthew Nay. And I believe he may be finishing his 3rd lap. Get confirmation on that.
Yeah, he'll be coming up very soon to the close of his 3rd lap. So they leave the bike course and come back down to the beach, not on the sand, just on the grass where the transition area is. So that is the access road to the transition area. So
there it is, yeah, this is Matthew. He's just navigating. This is a bit of a pinch point. We've suggested athletes slow right down. We've seen in the past even World Cup athletes hit that and come down. So you'll see he's thrown his leg over. There's a line there with the flags being held by officials. You must have a foot on the ground before you go over that line, which he did. And then he makes his quite a long run into transition 2. And we'll get a visual on who's in 2nd place.
yeah,
It looks like it's a Benjamin Airy who's coming 22 seconds down, followed by Finn McKenzie at 29 seconds. And then we've got Logan Campbell about 34 seconds.
So Matthew Nay will come in and find his spot to rack his bike. And then helmet goes off and then quickly on with the shoes. That's a nice quick transition.
Yeah, it was very good. And, you know, so the opposite before, you must rack your bike before you undo your helmet. So the reverse. So when you come out of the swim, helmet clipped on, then grab your bike. And then the reverse when you come into transition 2. Bike is racked, unclip your helmet, shoes on, and then as you see the aerial shots, Matthew Nay is making his way down Namutu Beach here for the start of his 3 kilometre run, a 3-lap, 3x1 kilometre run.
Benjamin Airy was in 2nd place at the last checkpoint on the bike. So we'll see if we can have a look at that transition area, because this is going to be interesting with 4 athletes pretty close behind all together. You can see them there coming in.
Yeah, we will be. We'll get a bit of a split when we can, and we'll see. I think it was about 24 seconds when he came down the hill. It'll be interesting to see at the 1 kilometre mark whether that's coming down or that's going to stay the same. But amazing shots here today. Just last minute check that the bike was racked properly as he makes his way out. Big, strong looking boy that's got a fairly big, fast turnover, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can hold that all the way through the 3 kilometre run.
Yeah, so getting a good view there of the course and heading out onto the run. So Matthew Nay has a lead of 23 seconds out of T2 from Benjamin Airy, and then Finn McKenzie's in 3rd place, just 6 seconds back from Benjamin. Logan Campbell is in 4th place, 37 seconds back from Matthew Nay, and in 5th place Lucas Reed. Also coming through, Cameron Morder, Art Aitken's gone through, Cohen Anderson, and that's our top 8 at the moment. So Cohen 1 minute 30 back on Matthew Nay.
Yeah, you'll see Matthew just made his way around the far turn. He's going to get his first visual, I suppose, throughout the race today. You would have seen him on the bike, but it's quite confusing with everyone on the ride how far he is in front. With a bit of a stopwatch on it, I think he's still holding about 23 seconds at that far turn. I'm guessing that's the 500 metre mark.
This course is just a simple out and back. You go up for 500 metres, turn around, come back, and you'll do that 3 times before carrying straight onto the finishing chute.
So yeah, one of the many roles you do is run coaching. What are you seeing of his form there here today?
Yeah, so it's one of the interesting things coming from a running background where often you want to start nice even pace, but often we'll see triathletes just drop the hammer out of transition, whether it's adrenaline or whether it's a matter of just getting those bike legs, getting that fatigue out. So yeah, looking good at the moment, Matthew. He has a 23-second lead that he needs to hang on to, so these athletes probably in the shape to run sort of low 9s for the 3K. So is 23 seconds enough to defend that lead?
Yeah, I think we'll get a bit more of an idea as we hit the 1 kilometre mark to see if that's coming down or if it's moving away. I dare say there'll be some guys that are coming off the back, a little bit stronger runners will make some big moves up that field, but very close racing. We've got the sort of top 6 within 62 seconds of each other, so anyone can fulfill that podium today. So if you're an under 12, an under 13 or under 14 athlete here who's already finished their event today, the transition is open for gear collection today. So under 12s, under 13s and under 14s, you can now go get your gear from the transition area.
So we're just seeing splits come through after that first lap of the 1K. So Matthew Nay is holding that 23-second lead ahead of Benjamin Airy. So things staying as they stood at the end of T1. Of course, we've got 2K to go, and we know the fatigue will be in their legs from that bike ride. And can they keep that speed up on the run?
Yeah, it's a good course if you're out the front, just to be able to gauge. Do you go deep on the first lap and to see where your gap is, or you just hold your form and hold back a little bit for laps 2 and 3. But the fact he gets to make that decision at the end of each 500 metre out and back, it makes it a little bit easier for him. He's starting to hurt a little bit now, a little bit of upper body movement, but he's still moving along fairly well with a nice even stride.
Is that a past athlete behind him, or is that Benjamin Airy just inching his way up closer? 23 seconds at the previous turnaround.
Yeah, we'll try and get a number as they make their way around. So this is Matthew at the 1500 metre mark. He's halfway through the run now. With this multi-lap course, you know, we can get runners and riders sort of mixed up. So I would say that 23 seconds hasn't been closed yet, and it potentially is a lapped runner. So just a reminder, under 12s, under 13s and under 14s, you can collect your all your gear out of transition now as it's open for you to do so.
So Matthew Nay looking comfortable, relaxed out there, currently in the lead. And he's been leading basically since T1.
Yeah, he did. He's led the swim out and he's held that lead all day. He said he comes from a strong family. He's done a lot of training with his older brothers, Caleb and Josiah. And he's looking pretty good for definitely a podium, and most likely potentially be the top. We'll find out soon as we see on the screen. I believe this is our leading girls, and I think that was Talia from memory. They led out the swim, and maybe the other girls have just caught her up now.
Yes, a little passing manoeuvre going on there, and obviously a lot of congestion on the course with lapped athletes.
Yeah, it looks like there's sort of 4 or 5 of them, and it's interesting to see that some of them have already got their feet out of their shoes, potentially a little bit too early. They've got to make their way down this left-hand turn onto Bailey's and through the port area down to transition, but it all happens fairly quickly because it's all downhill. But this is when they start thinking about the run. They've got their feet on top of their shoes. They need to be careful that their feet don't slip off as they're trying to do these left-hand turns and these manoeuvres, and then making sure that they've got a foot on the ground before they go over the transition line. So at the 2 kilometre mark, we still had Matthew Nay in the front, and he's got a 23-second lead to Benjamin Airy. So it looks like they're running very even throughout the first 2 kilometres. The gap's been 23 seconds from the end of the ride up until this 2 kilometre mark. So yeah, Benjamin's going to have to dig fairly deep now if he wants to catch Matthew Nay. And we've got Cameron Maunder sitting in third. He's 16 seconds down on Benjamin at 39 seconds behind Matthew Nay. And sitting in fourth place, we had Lucas Reed. So he's made some pretty big moves on the run. He's sitting at 53 seconds. He's got 14 seconds to make up in Cameron if he wants to be on the podium today at this under-16 schools championship. Great scenes here of Namutu Beach.
Yeah, great to see the rain just holding off. We had a few showers overnight, but so far we're looking good, and the forecast is for it to rain basically as soon as the competition's done. So
perfect.
Well done to the weather gods for arranging this to get underway under dry skies currently. A little few damp spots on the road. And Stephen, is that something that makes it extra tricky when it's not wet all over, but you've got a few little puddles that can surprise you when you come around the corner?
Yeah, I think you've got to treat the roads that they're all wet. You know what I mean? When they're riding like that, you want to avoid the white lines. They're slippery at the best of times without even the rain. So yeah, you treat them like they're all wet and you ride to the conditions, and there's some pinch points out there that you've got to be careful of. As we see Matthew making his way down, looks like he's on his last sort of leg home. And we'll be seeing him here at the blue carpet on the finish line, not far away. So if you're near the transition area, make your way down to where the grandstand and the blue carpet is, and we're going to start to see these under-16 boys making their way through the finish this championship race today.
And just before we click over to that finish of the boys, I can tell you that through T2 we've got Izzy Bannister, Lulu Johnston, Renee Carey, Oliver Rooney, Talitha McEwen, Loli Bryson Bowe. But here we go for the finish of the under-16 boys at the New Zealand Schools Champs. Matthew Nay, he's led basically the whole race. Here he is. He's going to be your national champion. What a race he's put on. Really stamped his mark on the bike, and he's holding it together on the run. What a win, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for Matthew Nay. And shortly behind him, Benjamin Airy will come through and claim the silver in this under-16 schools champs. Benjamin Airy takes second. And in third place, a close third, Cameron Maunder will come through. Our top three finishing here at Namutu Beach at the New Zealand Secondary Schools Triathlon Champs.
So great close racing today with these under-16 boys. Looks like Matthew's laid it all on the line there. And he's come away with the win today as we see a fourth place runner making his way towards the beach. It looks like Lucas Reed, son of Tammy and out of Palmerston North, coming home in fourth today. So well done to all these competitors. As we see number 1624. I believe this could be Logan Campbell.
And Art Aitken coming in next.
It looks like Art's out of Canterbury. A strong part of the world, part of New Zealand for triathlon. They have great youth development programs down there that sort of does a great job in producing many athletes.
So big shout out to Gisborne Boys High School, of course, Matthew Nay. If you're watching at home, be sure to send the link to the YouTube channel and get your classmates watching this, get your family members watching this, because there'll be some great action over the day. And of course, we've got the under-19 still to come. So we have Cohen Anderson coming through, finishing off his race this morning from St. Kentigern's. Finn McKenzie from Marlborough Boys finishing off as well in a time of 34.57. So confirming our top three in the boys. Matthew Nay in first place, Benjamin Airy in second, Cameron Maunder in third from Westlake Boys. And leading currently our women's under 16 race, Emma Blackmore has the lead. So we've had a few changes in the lead for that girls race as they are out onto the run. So Emma Blackmore has completed 1 lap on our 3-lap course. And then it's back to Lulu Johnson, is currently sitting in second place. She's the second runner through 1K. So apologies, it's Emma Blackmore in the lead, Lulu Johnson in second, Renee Carey is in third, and Izzy Bannister is currently sitting in fourth on the run course. As we have more finishes coming through for the boys, we've had Ryan Marfell of Marlborough Boys, Harry Summers of Otago Boys, Sasha Paris-Baker of Taupo, Finley Oliver of Mount Maunganui College. Well done to all those competitors finishing off their under 16 New Zealand Schools champs. So for a lot of these athletes, it'll be their summer of triathlon coming to an end.
So Hayden, I'll just interrupt you there. I'm just down here at the finish line. I've got Matthew Nay, who's just won the under 16 race here today. Matthew, how'd the race go for you? Did it pan out the way you wanted it to pan out?
Oh yeah, no, I was pretty stoked with it. The bike was a bit sketchy though, I like some of the trains and stuff. I almost came off a couple times, so yeah, but nah, pretty stoked with it overall.
So a word for the competitors chasing you today to be a bit careful on the turns. I hear the bit into the port you need to be very careful on.
Yeah, just some of the gravel and some of it's pretty slippy. Just a couple of times the back wheel kind of went out, but managed to recover. Yeah, I feel pretty bad for old Cameron Wander. That sucks for him.
And you're pretty happy to take this win today? This has been a race you've been targeting for the summer to take away?
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. I just gave it all I had. And the training with the brothers over summer helped a lot. I always just got someone to push me.
So any more races coming up for the rest of the season, or this is it now?
Nah, this is it. I think I'll probably take a week or so off and then get into cycling, target some of those races.
So this is Matthew Nay out of Gisborne today, taking out the under 16 race.
So Lulu Johnson still in the lead with this under 16 girls competition. She's got a 13-second lead up on Renee Carey. Izzy Bannister is in third, 14 seconds back from the lead. Kennedy Taylor is making big moves up through the field. She's 32 seconds back from the leaders in fourth place, and Olivia Rooney rounds out our top five, 35 seconds back from the lead. So the girls have gone through 1K. They're out onto their second lap.
Yeah, as we see some of the girls, they're moving along fairly quickly here. So Lulu Johnson, nice little lead over Renee Carey. Just a reminder that the under 12s, 13s and 14s, you can grab your gear out of transition now. Just a little bit of a gap at the moment. We just a quick call out for number 12, 13, Flip Martin, 13:37, Kyron Moyle, 13:27, Oliver Barnett. Just we need to see you at 11:05. The officials want to catch up with you at the Portacom here at the finish. So Flip Martin, Karen Moyle, Oliver Barnett, 11:05, we need you back here to see the officials at one of the porticons.
So congratulations to all of our finishers in the boys race. Jacob Darth, Ethan Beecher, Zach Lee, Connor Terito from Sacred Heart College, all coming in and finishing off their day of racing.
Yeah, such a spread of schools. Great to see. Otago Boys High, Taupo, Nuiatia, Waitaki Boys, Cambridge, just a few of them to name. So a big spread.
So Matthew Nay pretty happy about going from silver to gold from last year.
Yes, definitely. So he said off air that he said that's all he had, and he was pretty tired there at the end, but very happy to take the win.
Yeah, it might be better to be down that end, at that turn.
As we see a number of the girls making their way along the beach. Nice simple out and back run, as we said today, 500 metres out, 500 metres back. Just a reminder that if you're watching the race here in Namutu and you got friends and family not able to be here today, to remind them that we're live on Sky Next at the moment. So tell them to get online and follow the race.
And if you are one of those watching, be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and you'll be notified not only of all the triathlon or duathlon events happening, but all the other sports as well that take place on that platform.
Yep, so an event for everyone. We've just started with the Taranaki Trier and for the men and women. So this is for people doing their first time type triathlons. They're underway at the moment, and in about 40 minutes time we've got the fun run starting down here. So 10:30 start for that, and then after that we've got the under 19 starting at 10:50 for the boys and 10:55 for the girls, followed by the teams at 11 o'clock, and that's when you'll start to see the athletes that can draft off each other. So you're going to see some of our New Zealand's upcoming stars racing in that event today. From all accounts, it's, there's going to be, no one can pick a winner at the moment. It's going to come down to the tactics of the race.
All right, and this is the winner of our under 16 girls, Lulu Johnson. Here she comes from Mount Maunganui College. Well done, Lulu Johnson. What a race, and she's going to be your national champion in the under 16 New Zealand Triathlon Schools Championship.
Yeah, great racing today by Lulu. She looks like she's ran away with it, as we see second place making their way in. It was about 23-second gap at the 2K mark, so it looks like it's potentially going to be Renee.
Yeah. Renee Carey coming in. Brilliant finish there as we have one of the teams come through. Also Kennedy Taylor come through. She will take bronze. So there's your top three, ladies and gentlemen. Lulu Johnson, Renee Carey, and Kennedy Taylor.
Yeah, Renee out of Mount Maunganui, and then we've got Kennedy out of Southland Girls High School. The next girl in was going to be Catherine Lund from Otago Girls High School.
And congratulations, Lola Bryson Bow of Christchurch Girls coming through, Lucy McLean of Palmerston North Girls, and Izzy Bannister of St. Kentigans.
So great close racing from all these girls today. Not much splitting them up.
Yeah, so Lulu finished with what's that, about a 28-second win. But then after that, everyone's come through in tens of seconds or 5 seconds separating each of the athletes. So well done to everyone as Talitha McEwen comes across the finish line. Monique Speeding of Hamilton Girls, Olivia Rooney of St. Kentigans. So well done to all our athletes. Huge effort out there in the water, on the roads.
Yeah, so a spread of just over under 2 minutes for the top 10 today, with Lulu leading through, and 37.57, 28 seconds later to Renee. Then we had another 10 seconds back to Kennedy Taylor, followed by Catherine Lund, Lola Bryson Bowe, Lucy McLean, Izzy Bannister, Talitha McEwen, who was our early swimmer today, so she's done well to come in 8th place. 9th place, Monique Spedding, and then we had Olivia Rooney in 10th.
So great scenes with all these athletes from all around the country, schools represented from north and south. So well done, all these athletes coming across the finish line. Brilliant racing. We have Lucy Evans crossing the finish line, Emma Blackmore of Barradine. Oh, great scenes there. Some of our team athletes finishing off.
So great to see.
So if you've just tuned in on the live coverage on Sky Sport Next, it's great to have your company here at Ngamotu at New Plymouth in Taranaki, where we've got the Tri-Taranaki Festival, and we are just concluding the under 16 boys and girls events, individuals and teams. We've also got the Taranaki Tri going at the moment, which is good opportunity for people to dip their toe in the sport of triathlon. We've also got a local fun run as well, which will run at 10:30. So congratulations to Lucy Evans, Emma Blackmore, Jessie Coxon finishing off there.
So we're just down here at the finish with the podium of the under 16 girls. And we had in first place out of Mount Maunganui, Lulu Johnson. Second today was Renee Carey, and third was Kennedy Taylor with great close racing. Lulu, you came away today with a 28-second lead. Did the race pan out the way you wanted it to pan out?
Yeah, it was my first nationals, so I'm pretty wrapped. But I was quite scared for the bike because the roads are pretty greasy, but it was all good, so yeah, pretty stoked.
And coming from Mount Maunganui, you have a bit of a surf background. You do a bit of swimming in the open water that helped you here today?
Yeah, I do surf lifesaving with Mount Lifeguard Service, so it was pretty standard, the water today, but lots of fun.
And how did you find today coming in second place, Renee? Did you find it too cold, or the water, was it sketchy out on the roads?
The water was cold, but it was fine. And then the roads were a bit tough, but it was good, yeah.
And Kennedy come third today. Have you raced at Nationals before?
Yeah, I've raced every year, so it was pretty good, yeah, pretty fun.
And have you been on the podium before, or is this your first year on the podium?
Yeah, I won in year 8, and then that was my first podium, and then just missed out 4th in under 14s, and I got 13th last year.
Coming from Southland, you wouldn't be worried about the cold here today, would you? Sort of a nice balmy day here in Taranaki.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good weather actually
Okay, bikes
Yeah.
in, bikes can
So-
come in.
And are you three girls all racing in the tag team race this afternoon in various teams?
10:45.
Yeah, I am. I'm with Craig Kirkwood. We've got a little team going, so yeah.
Well, there's a fucking gap.
No.
Not going to cover fucking stragglers.
Yeah.
So that's our podium girls from the under 16 here at Ngāmutu Beach. Great racing all the way.
Thank you, Stephen Sheldrake there. Wonderful to get those interviews from those girls. So confirming Lulu Johnson with the win from Mount Maunganui College. Renee Carey in second place and Kennedy Taylor from Southland Girls in third position. In the under 16 boys, it was Matthew Nay taking the win from Gisborne Boys High School ahead of Benjamin Airy from Lincoln High School and Cameron Morder from Westlake Boys. We are going to take a break here from the coverage of the triathlon, and we will be back shortly before 10:50, probably about 10:45, for the coverage of the under-19s boys and girls. This is the New Zealand Schools Champs here at Ngāmotu Beach in Taranaki. Kia ora koutou, everyone. Welcome to Taranaki here at Ngamotu Beach. Beautiful scenes in Taranaki as you join us for the Taranaki Festival, where we are about to get underway with the under-19s. New Zealand Schools Triathlon Champs. This is the big one. This is a selection race for the Bermuda World Championships coming up shortly. My name is Hayden Sherman. It's great to have your company. With me in the commentary booth here, Stephen Sheldrake. What do you think of these conditions, Stephen?
Yeah, it's amazing, Hayden. Good morning to you too. And, as we just see on the screen now, we've got Chanel Barrett, the event director, just giving the last-minute instructions on how the race is going to go today. And we've had a morning of sort of unsettled weather that's getting more and more clearer throughout the day. The roads are drying up and, I'm looking forward to fast, exciting racing that's about to happen. And as you said, there's a bit of an importance on the line. You're going to have a number of athletes here that are trying to vie for selection for the Under-19 World Championships in Bermuda later in the year. This is one of the races that will count. It's not the only one, but a very important one. And this is the pinnacle of the year in regards to athletes preparing. This is the event that they've all been trying to get ready for.
And so earlier this morning we had the under-16 schools champs. So Matthew Ney took that out in the boys' competition ahead of Benjamin Erie, Cameron Maunder in third. And in the girls' competition, Lulu Johnson had a great run, steaming away for the win ahead of Renee Carey and Kennedy Taylor in third place. So brilliant racing already this morning. Roads were a little bit greasy as a bit of overnight showers were getting dried up. And as you say, Stephen, it is getting better and better. In the forecast, the rain radar is looking like we should get done and dusted with all the competition today. And then the rains will arrive. So hopefully we can squeeze out a little bit more of summer and get these races done in nice dry conditions. So these athletes going through their race briefing, the safety briefing, understanding what's coming up for them. And so their course will be a 750 metre swim, a roughly 20k bike. There will be 4 laps of that bike course and a 5k run. So your typical sprint distance. And that bike course, let's have a little talk about that bike course. Slightly different from the under-16s?
Yeah, definitely. It's a solid, honest course. There's no sitting around waiting for a run race at the end. And, we've got as you can see, the waves are starting to lap in. It's an honest 750 metre swim where they'll have to navigate their way out through a little bit of a chop. There's not much movement at the moment. It's a northerly blowing straight in, and the breakwater tends to protect the beach, but there's still a little bit of a lump in the waves, and it's going to help those sort of open water swimmers. They'll do a rectangle course and then anti-clockwise. It's a fairly long transition. You've got about 150 metres of running up the soft beach onto the grass area where they'll be stripping back their wetsuits, getting their bikes and making their way up onto the course. And as you said, it's an honest course. You go up Bailey's Hill initially, and then you make your way onto Centennial Drive, and you go out and do the 4 laps. And there's a decent hill out there, mate. That's you're a local from here. You've probably ran around here a few times, and there'll be no sitting on the back. And you're going to look at the stronger cyclists are going to look to break up the packs here and try and get away from the faster runners. Like you said, the roads have dried out. It's still technical. There's still some 180-degree hairpin turns when you're coming in to end each lap. There's a left-hand turned off camber into the port area that's catching a few athletes out, but it's going to be a showcase of the athletes that have got the best skills that should do well on a bike course like this today.
Yeah, I was having a good chat to Hayden Wild earlier in the weekend, and he said he really loves this course. Obviously, as a strong biker himself, loves a good, honest course that's not just a little head-down time trial affair, but this is lots of tight corners, lots of little niggly hills, lots of technical sections, like you say, where you need to keep your wits about you. And this is a drafting race, so it means we'll have some packs, and so there's that element as well to take into account.
Yeah, you just see them all starting to spread out. Nice, lots of area. You'll find that they're all bunching down one end. If you look at their starting position out to the water, looks like a lot of them have spread out down to the right-hand side. It's a very even start. If I was doing this, I'd be trying to get some free space, and it's a nice even run out into the water. It gets deep fairly quickly here. It's only about 2 or 3 porpoises as we got a start here today. And they're off. They're trying to get their legs nice and high. 1, 2, and then a third porpoise, and then they start swimming and making their way out to their first yellow left-hand turn.
Now we've got a few different swim caps there, different coloured swim caps. So we've got the green and the pink. Can you explain what we've got going on here? Because we've got, I believe we've got 2 different age groups in this.
Yeah, I'm colourblind, so I'm the last person who should be talking about colours with you.
Sorry to put you on the spot with that one then.
Definitely. I'm not. I know my strengths and weaknesses, and colours is definitely not one of them. But that first yellow buoy, you'll see that some of them have gone either sides of them. They're from previous races, the shorter races. It looks like these boys and girls will be heading out to the orange marker, where they will do a left-hand turn. I believe they've got 3 buoys for their one, so they sort of do a sort of 45-degree angle turn to a left. They go to a far buoy, another 45 degree, and then they make their way into the beach. But you can see there's we've only been going about 48 seconds now, and there's definitely a spread of about 50 metres already between the front and the back. And it's talking to all the coaches out there today. I said, who's the favourite? And I got given about 6 names. So it's great. That's what we want to see.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
And definitely 2 sort of packs sort of splitting up. But as I talk, they're almost merging into one pack. So we might get a bit of a flying V as they head out to that first buoy here in the port of Taranaki. So nice. It's a nice sheltered patch of water usually, unless the wind is blowing from the north as it is today, which is just blowing a little bit of chop in. And they'll feel that a little bit going out, but they'll definitely have some assistance coming in, particularly as the water gets shallower, and you'll start to see some of the waves wall up, and possibly see if we can get some of these athletes surfing in on the last little trip to the shore.
Yeah, definitely. You're going to see the open water swimmers, the ones that have the technique of you rate a little bit higher. In the pool we have these nice long strokes. We're going up and down a black line. We know exactly where we're going. But in the open water, we need to sight. We need to see it a little bit higher in the water. They're all wearing wetsuits. They've got a maximum sort of thickness of 5 mil. That lets them basically just lie there, flap their arms and kick their feet and go forward fairly quickly. So, you look at this front swim at the moment, nice high turnover. You'll have the other athletes trying to get a draft off them. So it's a little bit like cycling, that if you sit on their feet, you sit on their hip, you'll get a benefit of saving about 30%, a little bit easier. They're all a little bit like sheep. They'll follow the leader, so as long as he's going in the right direction, they'll do the shortest possible distance around this course.
And so there's multiple techniques as far as what your arms are doing above the water. So you see some athletes with that more straight arm, and then some with the more traditional nice high elbow. What's your preference in the open water?
Everyone's a little bit different, you know what I mean? You need a fairly high elbow stroke, because you don't want your hands catching on the way back through to start the next stroke. But as you said, the bit underwater is the important bit. You're basically trying to grab a piece of water in front of you, and you're trying to take that water as far as you can and throw it at the back, and you're trying to do it at a fairly fast rate of knots to get yourself around. But sometimes those pretty strokes can sort of get a little bit caught out in this chop, and those athletes that may have grown up in those areas that have got access to open water, will benefit from courses like this.
So on screen you can see the under-19 girls getting ready to go. And great to see the girls in blue and the boys in pink. No stereotypes around here. So awesome to see they're right ready to go. So this is the under-19 New Zealand Schools Champs. This is where the season all comes to a head.
I'm going to put my head on the block here and go, I believe the different colours is that because this is an under-19 championships, you've got some athletes who are at school and some that are not at school.
Right.
So I believe that some of the caps, will be the athletes that are still under-19, but they are not at school currently. And as we said, this is a bit of a qualifying race. This under-19 race here, I would suggest that the favourite would be a girl by the name of Bria Roderick. She's one of the high-performance athletes training out of Cambridge, coached by Bruce. So she'll be the one to look to beat. So
last year in Wanaka, we had Charlie Miller steaming away with the win in this event. And in the boys, it was Oliver Larcombe who took that event. So
He was one of the names I got given to look out for today. So, previous winner. He'll be looking to defend that title here in New Plymouth. But, a couple of girls to look out for today would be Bria Roderick, as I said, high-performance athlete, coached by Bruce Hunter, and another girl by the name of Olivia Cummings, who's coached by Craig Kirkwood, one of our high-performance coaches, who also coaches Hayden Wild. They would be a couple of names to keep an eye on, but you always get those ones that you don't talk about that come through. So keep
and this
an eye on
is the
everyone.
beauty of high school sport. You don't know who's been doing what, and you also don't know what the development, the athlete development stages that people are in. So you get a growth spurt, and suddenly you come out and you've got these big levers to attack the water with, or you're like me, you don't start growing until you're about 18.
For sure, definitely, mate. And the big difference between these races and the early races today is that drafting thing, particularly on the bike. So they can, you might be a strong swimmer, but you're not quite a good cyclist, but you've got the ability to get onto a group and sit on them. This is a tough course. This is not just a flat out and back course, but being a tougher course, it will find out the weaker riders on the hill. Like I said, good, honest swim, bike and run here in New Plymouth.
So as these girls head out into the blue deep water in the port, they will shortly see that orange buoy, which is the first mark to turn left. And we may also get a good look at the boys coming home soon too. So what are we looking at for a good time for the 750 metre swim?
Yeah, but it's an honour. If it is a truly 750, and I believe it is, because Shorty Clark, a local here that's measures to the metre, I would suggest that we're going to see the boys out and around 9:30, the leading boys. So we're looking at 6:30 on the clock at the moment. They've rounded the last mark. They've now got the northerly behind them. The rating's going to come up. They're going to be looking under the elbow, looking for a little rises. They'll feel the little sort of waves coming underneath them that will they'll go up and down, and they'll get a little run in with them. But yeah, around that 9:30 mark, I would suggest.
You can see the tugboat's got the sprinklers going,
awesome.
making it a really, really great occasion. So as these athletes head out towards the mouth of the port, they'll swing around that little triangle formation. And does that triangle formation help when you've got a big pack going around, not as tight a corner? Those boys can be pretty tricky in a big pack.
Yeah, definitely. That is the bit where the packs tend to break up, because they converge at the boys, and then it's like, that person's got to go through, that person's got to go through, while the front ones are moving away from those packs. A bit like a cycling pack, when they get to a 180-degree turn, when everyone's slowing down, those front ones are accelerating out. So
you see quite a bit of a break between the directions these swimmers are taking. So another important part of the swim, making sure that people are spotting as they're going. They're not just head down and stroking. They're actually getting up, spotting, using those crocodile eyes, checking out where they're heading. And
yeah, you look at that on our screen at the moment, the far right swimmers just realised that maybe I've gone off course a little bit, and stage right. He's starting to make his way back to that little pack of four. But we've got 6 athletes there, a group of 4 and those 2 singles by themselves, and this is a crucial part of the race. They need to stay together, transition hard, and make sure that they get on that pack for the ride, because this can be the difference between getting away or having to do in a pack, or having to do the race all by themselves. And we see these amazing overhead shots from the great technology of drones that we have nowadays.
Absolutely. And is this a part of the race that you'd practice a lot as yourself as a coach? You'd get out there in the open water and do a lot of these transitions where you get out of the water and get that wetsuit off nice and quick.
Oh, big time. You're going from a horizontal position to a vertical position very quickly, and it is super, super important. The normal swim, bike and run training, but all these athletes will be doing what we call transition training. They'll be doing swim bikes, they'll be doing bike runs and swim bike runs, so it just comes second nature. As you see athletes heading back, we're getting towards the break zone. They're not going to be a wave to catch today, but it's going to be the little differences. We see that front swimmer just in the last 45 seconds has just got 2 or 3 bike lengths on them. Like I said, crucial position as they make their way towards that Suzuki banner, where they'll have about a 100-metre run up the beach. High tide here at the moment, so they've got a shorter transition or run time compared to the previous races today. And as we saw in the start, it was only about 2 or 3 porpoise dives before they could start. So it won't be much as soon as they feel the water. So the key is sort of to touch the water a couple of times. You don't want to stand up too early because it slows you down. And now they'll make their way up. They'll be assessing where they are. You'll see the front guy's just reaching back. He'll pull the zip down and he'll bring his wetsuit down to his waist. He'll grab his cap and goggles into his hand and he's going to navigate his way through transition to find his bike. And then they will get this wetsuit completely off. It looks like Westgate that's leading the swim here.
Yeah, so as they come into T1, here we go. So we'll give you some splits as they start to feed through.
Yeah, it looks like you're a little bit lost. But eventually found it. But it's Grayson Westgate. I believe he's out of Dunedin. He's coached by Tony Dodds, one of our ex-Olympians. And he's thrown down the gauntlet and said, come and get me. So we're leaving T2 in 10:30. So it would have been about 9:45 swim.
Ivan Abel in second place. Oliver Larcombe, who we've talked about 10 seconds back there. But it looks like we're going to get a good little pack. So surely they'll be able to work together and pull back Grayson.
Yeah, it looks like Ivan Abel was second out of the water. He, I believe, is coached by Cameron Paul out of Taupo. Oliver Larkham, he won last year. He's the defending champion. He's got the target on his back that they're all going to want to go after. As we have Chris Wootton, Henry Micking and Alex Brackenbury going out. Been told that Alex is a very good cyclist runner and swimming is probably the weakest. So he's obviously had a good swim and he's going to want to get onto that pack. But yeah, Grayson first out. Oliver was 9 seconds down, 14 seconds to Ivan, and Chris at 23 seconds down on the front there. But fairly long transition. You'll see they're going all the way out to that where the technical officials have flags. That is where they can mount their bike. They've got to over their line. If they mount their bike before that line, they will get a penalty that they have to serve at some stage on the run. As we see them going up the hill. And as we talked about earlier in the day, this is where they've got to make the decision whether I put my feet into my shoes, I lead them onto the top, or they tighten them at the top. But at this stage, all they're thinking about is forming a pack and getting away from those runners.
Now, in terms of the course, this is the little connecting section that connects the transition area to the bike course, where they will be doing 4 laps of the course to make up to close to 20 Ks. And we will soon see how technical that course is. So we've got, is it 5 riders all together? Yeah. And then Grayson is out the front.
I got a feeling, I think Grayson was on the front. They've already called him up. And when we get a visual on it, we'll give you the names. If we see the second pack just coming in now, grabbing their bikes, and they're going to hope to form a pack and do a bit of work to try and sort of limit the loss that they've had in the swim there. So we see number 1924 just heading out to start his ride.
Yeah, so that's Matthew Mitchell. We've also got Toby Finlayson coming through, Ben Hennessy, Gus Marfell, Hunter Gibson. So all those boys getting through T1 safely. And as you say, Stephen Sheldrake having to wheel the bike. And this is another part of triathlon that you may not practice, is that tricky wheeling your bike while you're running in bare feet, pedals bouncing all over the show.
Oh yeah, many a shoes popped off the shoes at that stage. A lot of them use rubber bands that keep them nice and horizontal so they don't pop off. But yeah, we see this front group of we've got 5 here working very, very well together. We've got, I believe that's Sam Parry. So we're missing a few numbers from our timing system. We've got James Corbett in there as well. But they're 2 of the favourites along with Grayson Westgate coming into the race. James, Sam and Grayson recently just got named in a couple of our development squads. So great to see them up there. But this is where they're making the little chicane, the hard left, the little right, and then they're making their way up the start of the hill. And this is where we're going to see the strong cyclists try to make their moves. So a little gap. We've got 2 of the stronger riders trying to gap away them here from the rest of them. One of them is Jack Staples. He's another name that I got thrown around early on to look out for. He's out of Canterbury, and he's a good, strong athlete to keep an eye on as well. Not combined. They're both going to come up there, but two of them, she's the only combined will be this sheet there. So you can look at the timing point when they hit the bike turn, you'll see all their names come through. So this is where the hill gets very difficult. They make a left-hand turn. You'll see that probably the smaller compact guys loving this hill. Grayson, bit of a taller guy. He's going to have to try and hold on to the likes of Sam Perry and James Corbett up this bit here. Jack Staples still sitting nice second wheel. He hasn't got his nose into the wind. This bit here they'll have a bit of a tailwind. You've got tailwind all the way up to the top of here. When they get to the very top and they start looping around, that's when there'll be a bit of a headwind. We've got Sam Perry just looking back going, who's with us? Who have we lost? We started off with 5, but we still got 5 at the top of this hill. So we may have, looks like the front girls just making their way to the shore here. And they're making their way up the transition now. And the same with the boys, they'll be stripping back their wetsuits to their midsection halfway, and then they'll take the rest of it off once they get into transition.
All right, so sprinting up the beach on the black sand here on the west coast of the North Island. And we have Ai Funglada in first place. Sophie Spencer coming in first. Bria Roderick, Olivia Cummings, Charlotte Brown.
Yeah, so these are the names to look out for. Sophie Spencer, she's out of Auckland, coached by Walter Thorburn. She recently got named into one of our squads, our North Island, South Island squads. And we've got Bria Roderick, as we talked about before, and Olivia Cummings. They're going to try and get away from the rest of the field, as we saw Bria with a very fast transition, followed closely by Olivia Cummings out of Tauranga, coached by Craig Kirkwood.
Yeah, those kids on the swings right there at T1. Got the perfect view. Yes. Playing in the playground, watching the athletes of tomorrow come past them. And look, all these athletes are looking very strong. And like you say, have already been named in some of those development pathways with Triathlon New Zealand.
Yeah, as you just see them, they're just approaching the exit of T2. It looks like Sophie Spencer and Bria Roderick have got about a 3 or 4 second gap to Olivia. She's going to be desperate to catch up and close that gap, and looks like she's going to do it well. And we'll see if the three of them will work together or try and break each other up to keep away from the rest of these girls that are starting to come in now. So it looked like most of the girls are on their way out now. Look like Sophie Spencer, Bria Roderick, Olivia Cummings, followed by Charlotte Brown, Hannah Morgan. Then we had Morgan Overton, Lucy Farrell, Noya Aporto, Fallon Roy, Bella Rose Lloyd, Natalia Carter, and then the rest of the girls following after that as they make their way up to the port area.
So as we know, for any sprint triathlon, 750 metre swim, 20k bike, and then that 5k sprint for home.
As we just see them on the screen, that was in the white hat, that's Bruce Hunter. He coaches Bria Roderick, and he's giving us some words of advice about whether to keep attacking these two girls to get away or to wait for them. Bria's a very strong cyclist, so I dare say she'll be wanting to use her strength on the bike and not have to wait until the run.
So these athletes making their way through T1, through this reasonably long section where you're running with your bike. And then, as you say, Stephen, waiting for that mount line, getting on and then getting those pedals cranking. And this is the main part of the bike course now. You've got a good flattish section before you swing a left and head up into the Motoroa Hills.
Yeah, and you can see Bria, she's not waiting around. And these girls are starting to get stretched out. Those two other girls just start falling off the back. It would be best to work together to try and close that gap, because I know that Bria's going to want to put a gap into them. As we just see some of the other under-19 girls making their way out onto the course. So potentially we may have, looks like it could be the first under-19 boy, as we have a lead motorbike here. As he comes through, we'll try and get our splits to you, and we'll give you some names of who it potentially could be. But he's decided, I'm going. I'm not waiting for anyone. And then if you get a situation like this is where the rest of the group will start looking at each other going, no, you go to the front, no, you go to the front. And this is when this person that rolls the dice makes some big time on the rest of them. But it looks like he's got a decent gap. Looks like the second and third athlete, it's sort of about 15 seconds behind. But by the looks of it, it potentially could be Jack Staples, who... No, it's not Jack Staples in first. He's in a red and black Canterbury uniform.
Yeah, was it Oliver Larkham who's already taken up the lead from St. Paul's
Collegiate. Yeah, that's it. It's definitely. So he's the defending champion. He's a very good cyclist, and he is trying to make it the winning gap today and try and get a repeat. As we see Bria Roderick, she certainly has a nice little gap going up the hill here. It's a tough little pinch, this hill. And then they do another left-hand turn, and it gets even tougher.
Yeah, so it goes up Portview Crez. So they'll swing a left just past Egmont Seafoods, and then you shoot up Portview Crez, and like you say, look at that, straight out of the seat. Pounding those pedals, keeping that cadence nice and high.
Yeah, this is where you got the northerly behind you. So it's a nice tailwind up this little bit here, which helps them. And when they come back down Centennial there, that it's into your face. But, you know, this is... she's using her bike strength here well to get a gap on the likes of Sophie and Olivia.
You can get a good idea of the course. So that main road that you can see there, that's Breakwater Road. So that's the flat section. Then they go up towards those big green tanks up there, the tank farm up near Paratutu, which is that rock sticking up into the sky. So that big downhill heading down from Paratutu is where the fastest section of this course, and then you slam the brakes on as you go around that corner into a full 180-degree turn near the port on Breakwater Road, and then it's back home.
So just an update on those boys when they went through the first turn. We had Oliver Larkham leading. He had a 13-second lead to Jack Staples. Jack Staples and Sam Perry were together. They had a 16-second lead to Ivan Abel, and then another 25 seconds back to William Taylor, Henry McMenning, James Corbett, Alex Brackenbury, another 10 seconds back behind that.
So you can see Jack Staples and Sam Perry just having each other to work with, but they're kind of just side by side at the moment. So is this one of those times when they need to look at each other and say, look, Oliver's up the road, we need to share this lead and pull him back?
Yeah, definitely. They'll be, you know, if they're smart, they'll work hard together and they'll sort of face into the wind, especially on that back down into the headwind. But you know what I mean? He's definitely here to repeat his win of last year, Oliver. And he's doing well so far as we just get you see how windy it is on the television crew there as we see Bria Roderick making her way back down the hill. Nice and low on the drops of her bars into that headwind. You see nowadays on the bikes, a lot of the athletes are riding with disc brakes. So a fairly new introduction 2 or 3 years ago to road cycling. It went the way of mountain biking with disc brakes as opposed to the rim brakes. And on a course like this and conditions like this, they are certainly safer. But she's nice and low. She'll be using that motorbike camera as a guide to chase after.
You can see the black plastic of the camera just flapping around a bit, so that's there in case the rain comes back. Right now, it's nice and dry. It's grey overhead, but it's nice and dry, just with the odd little patch of water that you need to be aware of on the somewhat greasy roads.
Yeah, so she just does a little dog leg here, and this is a chance for her to see what sort of damage she's done on that first lap. You get a sighting, and then it gives you a bit of an indicator of whether you carry on with that attack or you sit up and wait for them. But given the gap that she's got at the moment, I dare say that she will be pushing ahead to sort of create more of a gap. So we shouldn't be too far away from seeing the front under-19 boys getting back again.
So if you've just tuned in, it's great to have your company here on the coverage on Sky Sport Next. You are watching the Taranaki Festival, and this on screen is the under-19s New Zealand Schools Champs, doubling with the under-20, I guess it's the junior champs. So they're running the two age groups together. So that basically means there's some kids still at school, some who are not, but still in those junior ranks.
Yep, that sums it up well. Yep, we've been very lucky with the weather, and hopefully it holds. It's going to be quite a busy race course soon. We're probably about 5-10 minutes away from the open race starting, where we'll start to see some of our lead athletes in New Zealand who are racing starting to get ready for their swim, and they'll be joining this course where the under-19s are currently racing as well. So they come off that main road onto Bailey's, then they come down Bailey's corner as we see Brea just doing a hard left. It's off camber there, so it's hard to tell from these overhead shots. She navigated that well, and then we do a bit of a loop around the port area here, and then we start the next lap, and that'll be the start of lap 2 of the 4 laps for these under-19 athletes here today.
So you can see how technical this course is. You've got to have your bike skills up. You can't just be a head-down time trialist. If you've been spending the lockdown on your bike, on your indoor trainer, you've got to get out there and build those bike skills.
Yeah, it's been a great introduction, indoors Zwift racing as we call it. Yeah, you still got to get out there and practice those skills in the elements. So we just had Brea go through in a total time of 22:03. And then we just had Olivia and Sophie go through in 22:31. So we're looking at about 28-second gap that Brea's opened up on that first lap. You see she's come off onto the main road again. She gets back up to speed. She's nice and low on those on her bars. And so, you know, she's made a 28-second gap on that first lap, and she'll be very happy with that. A quarter of a way into the bike ride. We've also just had, the looks of it, looks like Oliver Lacombe has come through, so he's still leading these under-19 boys. It'll be interesting to see if that gap, it was about 13 seconds last time, Hayden. It looks like there's a big group, if we look on the television monitor, group together now, so it'll be interesting to see the power of the pack if they can chase down Oliver. You get a situation like that, you can get groups that are too big. They're all racing for the best position they can, and you need a leader. You need a leader within this group to go, come on guys, we can work as a group, we can shut them down, and we can go for the win. But if they all look at each other, Oliver's just going to ride away and get a second title.
Yeah, so Oliver knows how to win this race. As you say, this would be his second senior boys title. Of course, he also won the under-16s the year before that, so he definitely knows how to win when he comes to the New Zealand School Triathlon Champs.
Yeah, it looks like a group of 7. So I think we've got Oliver, and then we've got a lone rider, then a group of 7. And we will try and get the names to you.
Yeah, great scenes. Good to have the rain just holding off here in Ngamotu Beach in New Plymouth. Back here again, of course, this event was cancelled last year as the nation went into lockdown. But we're back on this year, and so far so good with that rain holding off.
Yeah, a few of those names in that chase pack include the likes of Henry McMecking, Alex Brackenbury, James Corbett. They're all in that group. 20 seconds after them is the likes of William Taylor. So some names there that have been around for a while. They're some of the favourites to do well. But yeah, James Corbett, coached by Craig Kirkwood, and Alex Brackenbury, coached by Chris Willett. A couple of high-performance coaches here at race watching today. They're names to look out for.
So I can also confirm in the girls' race, we've had Noya Opoto come through her first lap of the bike, Hannah Morgan as well, Georgia Hare and Becky De La Harpe. there you can see Perry and Staples just working together again, egging each other up this hill. So they'll swing that left onto Port View, and that's when the hill just cranks up a little bit more. We've seen some of the athletes just get up out of their seat and get that acceleration to drive into this hill. So there's Bria Roderick, our female leader in this under-19s race.
Yeah, nice.
And here she'll come down this hill. Paratutu's just to her left, right of the screen. And this is where she'll have a bit of assistance from gravity, just pulling her down into that, it's a mild northerly. It's nothing too crazy.
No, it's she'll be sitting on probably 50 odd kilometres an hour, still get only into the headwind. It's a great time for her just to grab a drink and make sure she keeps her hydration levels up. Whilst it's an overcast day, we still need to keep drinking, and maybe some of them may have a gel on the bike. It's still going to be probably about an hour worth of racing for these girls, maybe 62 minutes, as we see a couple of boys. These are the chase boys that are sitting behind Oliver. I believe it's Jack Staples and Sam Parry. Sam Parry's out of the Manawatu region and Jack out of Canterbury. And they're sort of getting to the same spot we saw Bria at about 30 seconds ago, where she does her right-hand turn to the downhill. So just a bit of an update on those time gaps. Oliver had a 37-second lead on Sam Parry and Jack Staples as they went through the 9.5 kilometre, the halfway mark of the bike. And then at 1:03 we had Ivan Abel. 1:25 was Henry McMecking, Alex Brackenbury and James Corbett at 1:25, 1:26. William Taylor at 1:49. So a great 37-second lead after 2 laps for Oliver is a big gap in this type of racing.
It is, and it's been extending the whole way as well. So I think we had him at about a 20-second lead after that first lap. So Oliver really pounding away at those pedals wonderfully. And if we skip over to the females race, we can tell you Bria Roderick's got a 27-second lead up on Olivia Cummings. And then it's just 1 second back to Sophie Spencer, so those two working together well. And then it's another minute back to Charlotte Brown, Natalia Carter, Lucy Farrell, Hannah Prosser, Morgan Overington, Fallon Roy, Bella Rose Lloyd, Morgan Flanagan, all as a big old pack. So there's really the leader, there's 2, and then there's 1, and then there's a pack of about, 8 athletes all together.
Yeah, and it's great to see big groups of girls riding together. They tend to ride in 1s and 2s a fair bit on a course like that particularly, so it's great to see a pack of 8. It just comes down to who's the leader in that pack of 8, who's saying, let's work together, girls, let's all have even turns and try and move our way up to get closer to the podium.
And it's important to have these opportunities to race like that in a pack, because when you go over to Worlds or those World Cup situations, you're going to be in big packs, going around tight corners, the group stretching out and then compressing back together.
No, definitely. We don't get many opportunities in New Zealand to have completely closed rows like they're having here today. So, it's a massive credit to Chanel Barrett and her team here to get the traffic management in place to allow all these athletes to experience these types of races that that they'll face when they head overseas, when this world's back open again, hopefully, not far away. And it's awesome, and it's great to see. And we can bring it to the world here with the beauty of technology through here in skysportnext.
So you can see these athletes crossing the railway lines, and then they come in and do this little lollipop turn, which is near the transition area, and then they'll head back out onto Breakwater Road.
So we're going to see what the split is. Oliver's gone through. He's on to his final lap. He's done the 14 kilometres of riding. We expect to see Sam Parry and Jack Staples coming through next. It was about 28 odd seconds, I think, last time. We'll see if he's increased it this time. And there's a gap. There was a gap of about a minute back to the likes of Ivan and Henry and Alex Brackenbury, James Corbett. But as soon as we get those splits, we'll give them to you.
Yeah, so Oliver Larcombe at the moment looking very well on track to defend his title from last year. And of course, was the winner in the under-16 competition the year before that. So can he do the three-peat? That's the big question. Of course, we've still got the all-important run leg to go, and anything can happen in that run leg. And 5 kilometres, I mean, 30-second lead, that can be eaten down 6 seconds per K.
Well, I can tell you, he's got 1 lap to go, and it's now out to 53 seconds. So Sam Parry, Jack Staples, still riding together, have gone. They've lost about another 20 seconds that lap to 53, working off another 20-second loss on this final lap. He could have about 120, 115. Winning last year, I dare say he's a pretty good runner. You know what I mean? Then we've got the likes of Ivan Abel at 123, Alex Brackenbury at 132. Henry McMecking is riding with Alex at 132. They are your first 6 athletes in the under-19s at the moment, with 1 lap to go on this bike course. As we see on screen, Bria still ticking away with a nice high cadence. Upper body's nice and still. You see the girl she's about to pass is out of the bike, fighting it a little bit with a bit bigger gear, but nice, smooth cadence. As I said before, Bria trains out of Cambridge, out of the high-performance environment, and she gets to train with some of the best athletes in the world, and she's showcasing this as an under-19 athlete today.
So Stephen, as a cycle shop owner yourself, triathlon coach, would you recommend to most athletes to stay in the seat as long as you can, or is it vary depending on the terrain and what's going on around you?
You want to mix it up a little bit, you know what I mean? You want to probably spend 70%, 60% of the time seated and the other bit getting out of the saddle, just to break up the muscle use that you're using at the moment. So just mixing it up. But, we want to see a nice cadence, upper body nice and still. As we see on screen, the leader here out of St. Paul's Collegiate, and this is Oliver, who we've been talking about. But very strong rider. He looks comfortable on a bike, and he, I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at about an 80-second lead the way he's been going when he gets off the bike.
Yeah, so getting out of the seat, as we've been talking about, up the steep climb as he goes through Portview Road. And then he'll get a reward for all his troubles as he swings down and gets some assistance from gravity. As you can see there, just pulling away from the camera.
Definitely, and he'll have supporters out on the course, and coaches and family. They'll be feeding him this information, these splits. So, you know what I mean? I'd be guessing he's feeling fairly good about the gap he has at the moment.
And Bria Roderick again gets a bit of assistance from gravity as well as she crests the top of the hill and comes down. She will have 1 more lap to go.
Yeah, great skills there. Nice and low. Outside leg nice and straight. Pulling on the inside, and nice smooth corner there. But yeah, looks like the roads are dried out now. So makes it a lot safer for these athletes out there. Oliver just having a sneaky look back just to see what his gap is and see if anyone's closing him down. But you know what I mean? I think he's going to be hard-pressed to be caught here today.
And an update on the girls' standing. So Bria Roderick's got that 45-second lead over the duo of Olivia Cummings and Sophie Spencer. And then it's a minute 30 back to that big pack, where we've got Charlotte Brown, Morgan Flanagan, Hannah Prosser, Lucy Farrell, Natalia Carter, Bella Rose Lloyd, Fallon Roy, Morgan Overington. So all of those athletes about 2.5 minutes back from Bria Roderick. But you'd think the medals are likely to come from that top 3, barring some big run performances from that second pack. So Bria Roderick is leading from Olivia Cummings in second, and Sophie Spencer right with Olivia.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be hard pressed, and as long as they get through this bike nice and safely without any mechanicals, yeah, it'd be hard to see anyone pulling back that 2 minutes that potentially will be at the end of the ride. As we see Oliver just doing the last turn on that dog leg. He's got about 2 kilometres to go. he'll be starting to think, where are those other boys? I'll have a little look up the road. I can't see them at the moment. I must have a decent gap. He'll be just starting to think about, what do I need to do as I come down Bailey's Road? I can start getting my feet out carefully. I might need a last-minute drink. And then he needs to start thinking about how to run 5 kilometres nice and fast.
So doing it solo like this, what sort of different approaches are you're thinking in terms of your mental space? Because it's lonely out there.
Yeah.
Just you and your bike in the road.
You know, triathlon's a funny sport. You know, an analogy they use is you got $20 to spend on the race, and you know, how much do you spend on the swim, how much do you spend on the bike, and how much do you spend on the run? You want to spend all $20. In fact, you want to spend probably $21 on the whole race. But you know, how many dollars has he got left for the run now? You know, has he laid it all left out there, nothing left in the tank? And you know what I mean, a minute 20 is not enough. But you know, we'll find out in a minute. And being a previous winner, he knows how to win. You know what I mean? And I believe he's a fairly solid runner.
So if you're watching this from St. Paul's, hit that share button and be sure to share it out with your classmates and all the family members and community members who would want to be watching a potential double repeat of Oliver's last year's win. But here he comes. So the gap after the third lap was 53 seconds. It was 1 minute 23 back to the next pack. Is Ivan Abel just by himself. But Sam Parry and Jack Staples were 53 seconds back from Oliver Larcombe. Let's wait and see how big a gap Oliver is giving himself in order to keep that on the run.
Yeah, he's just coming down the last little hill now behind us here at the transition. You'll see him soon. He'll reach down. He'll have both feet on top of the shoes. He'll do the little right-hand corner, and he'll see the marshals in front of him with the flags. He'll need to put a foot on the ground before he goes over the line to avoid any penalties.
So here he comes. As you say, there's that dismount line, and he's off safely.
Yeah, he looks motivated and he's off. He'll be thinking about a smooth transition now, racking the bike, then unclipping the helmet, and then making his way out to this run course that they've got to do.
So through those Pahutakawas is the transition area. There he comes through the little forest. So reasonably long transition areas to navigate. But he comes through. You can see the pedals and shoes bouncing all over the show.
Yeah, just in the background, I think we can see the Open athletes finish their swim. They're making their way onto the course. But today on this coverage, we're following the under-19s, being the secondary school champs. But some of the best athletes in the world are now out on the course. The likes of Hayden Wild and Taylor Reid and co. So we're lucky here today having some of the best athletes racing.
So there he is, Oliver Larcombe, your race leader in the New Zealand Schools Triathlon Champs. He is out on the run, the final leg of this triathlon. He will have 5K to run. There's 3 laps, so it's a slightly different course from those who were watching the under-16s earlier in the day, where they had laps of 1K each. This time, that streak that you can see there on the right going up, they will need to do a little dog leg out there, and they go a little bit further down the Namotu Beach Road as well to make about a mile per lap.
Yeah, they've got a bit of a hill on this run, so they just go up that Bailey's Road, up, and they turn around, and then they come back down, make their way back towards the finish line here, and they do a turn and repeat that. As we see Sam Parry making his way out there, so we'll get you some splits as soon as we've got them as they exit T2.
Yes, we saw Sam Parry with Jack Staples there with him. They had each other for company for a while as some of our other athletes come in and rack their bikes. We'll get splits through very soon.
59 seconds we have Jack Staples. We had 104 for Sam Parry. So he's got a minute lead on the likes of Jack Staples, Sam Parry. We're expecting next to be the likes of Ivan Abel, Alex Brackenbury, Henry McMegney, James Corbett. But, you know, he's up on his toes and he's looking good, and he's attacking this run course.
Yeah, Oliver looking really good and relaxed. He's given himself that 1 minute lead. So you talk Stephen Sheldrake about a potential 1 minute 20 lead. So that shows that Jack and Sam didn't muck around on that last lap and maybe just kept it pretty even and not let Oliver get too much of a lead. So Oliver will probably be looking to run in the 16s, maybe even into the 15s for this 5K. And that would require the other boys behind him to go low 15s to be within a chance. So 1 minute leads Stephen Sheldrake. What sort of speed are Jack Staples and Sam Perry going to have to do, and if they want to get on top of the podium?
Yeah, at a guess on a course like this, we're looking probably 15:30s, I dare say, for the likes of Oliver, these front boys, maybe a 15:45. So, you take a minute off that, and that's what's going to be required to pass them, isn't it? So, I think Oliver, like the other athletes earlier today, this multi-lap course, they get to see each other a couple of times. This one's a little bit different. They get to see each other 3 times, actually, because they go to the far end here of Namutu Beach, and then when they come down the top of the little hill up Bailey's and coming back down, they'll see the athletes going up, and then at the turnaround down around transition. So, you're the front runner, you can get to measure your effort quite regularly throughout the course. So, we're keeping an eye on the girls as well. At the end of the third lap, Bria Roderick had a 53-second lead over Olivia Cummings and Sophie Spencer, who've been riding together. There's another couple of minutes. Back to the likes of Fallon Roy, Charlotte Brown, Lucy Farrell, Hannah Prosser, Morgan Flanagan, Natalia Carter, and a little bit back behind that is Bella Rose Lloyd. So, fairly big gaps. I'd say that podium is going to be hard to chase down unless something happened. But, Oliver's looking really, really good here as he makes his way back from the first turn. He'll be making his way. He'll do a left-hand turn up Bailey's Road soon and things like that. So, great running.
Yeah, he's looking good, and you can see there's no one behind him on that camera shot. So he has the road all to himself, and this is a matter of he can just tempo run this. Pretend he's on a Saturday morning doing a brick session back home, and this is great running from Oliver Larcombe. And here's Bria steaming down the hill.
Yeah, no, she's looking good. A little shot of her cranks there. She's riding the power. So she's got these power meters that in her cranks, and she'll have an understanding of what sort of power that she can ride, allowing her to run well off it. So she's off the front, but she'll be going by feel, but she'll also have power that allows her to ride to that. But looks like Oliver's got a few schoolmates out there giving high fives already.
Totally. Oliver's looking in good shape here. Nice and relaxed, just keeping that cadence nice and high. I'm sure by now he'll start to feel like he's getting that cycle fatigue out of his legs.
Yeah, definitely. He looks really, really good. And, as he goes through the lap 1, we'll get a split soon. And so 59 seconds, I think we're worked off. That'll give us a bit of an indicator whether he's been closed or not. And the likes of Jack Staples and Sam Perry, both very good runners. And they're going to be, trying to close down Oliver or even stay onto the podium.
As we see these overhead shots of our women's leader on the bike. Oh, and there's Bria now. So Bria continues to just extend away. She has been putting a few seconds on the woman behind her every single lap, and at 14K she was 53 seconds ahead of Olivia Cummings and Sophie Spencer, and then it's a good 2 minutes 46 back to that chasing pack. So you would think Bria is in a safe position to defend against that pack at least, but what can Olivia Cummings and Sophie Spencer do on this last lap? Can they inch into that lead and put them in a better position to chase after this young lady?
So, as we went through the first lap, the 1.6 kilometre, I can tell you that Jack Staples has only made 1 second up on Oliver. So 58 seconds to Oliver, 104 to Sam Parry. Our first 3 athletes have finished 1 lap of the 3-lap run here today. So, yeah, it's looking good for Oliver. Hence why he's probably high-fiving his school friends as we speak.
And he'll get all those splits out on the course as well. So he's in that privileged position of being able to control the race from the front. And we've had Henry McMicking come through in 4th place. He's sitting in 1:41 back from the lead of Oliver Larcombe. And leading that pack of boys.
As I said earlier, we've got the open race going on in the background at the moment, but for today we're covering the under-19 secondary schools here. So just as we've had their 4th athlete through, that's Henry McMicking. He went through in 1:41 down on Oliver. At 2:28 we've got James Corbett. He's sitting in 5th place, and then we're expecting the likes of Alex Brackenbury and Ivan Abel to come through after that.
So there's the transition start-finish area. So all those athletes started out on the beach there, headed out into the water in the port, and then came into the trees here where our transition area is. It's a beautiful spot for triathlon, and we've seen some great racing here over the years with the annual World Cup ITU race that's held here. That famous sprint, of course, with Bevan Doherty several decades ago on this course.
2005. Yeah, Chris Gemmell decided to light it up felt like about 2 kilometres out. But yeah, I think it's had some ridiculous amount. It's the most viewed triathlon clip on YouTube. So if you haven't seen it, just Google Bevan Doherty New Plymouth sprint finish or something like that, and it'll bring it up.
So all these girls now coming through, getting their wetsuits off. Now they are in the open sprint race, and so they're heading out onto the bike.
Yep, so we've just seen Brea go through, so we're looking to see what sort of gap she's got on Sophie and Olivia.
So for her 20k and 750 metre swim, plus the transition, or the 2 transitions, she's gone through in 48 minutes.
Yep.
And here we have one of our male competitors.
He's a big
out
tall
on
lad,
the run.
isn't he?
So you can see there the conditions that have greeted the athletes this morning is just this light northerly, overcast conditions, but the racetrack is drying up by the minute. So we were glad to see the back end of that little bit of showers overnight. And here she goes, looking nice and strong out onto the road in the run course. So Brea Roderick has gone through well ahead. Now we're trying to get a split on that for you.
Yeah, she's looking great. She's up on her toes. She's leaning forward. Nice still upper body, and she's running well. So we're just trying to get a split. With 1 lap to go on the ride, it was around about a minute. And as with the boys, as with Oliver, she'll get a chance to see the gap 3 times each lap. So yeah, Brea's been around for a while now. She's still under 19, but she's been in the sport for a while. She was one of our, she was an athlete that represented New Zealand at the Youth Olympics a few years ago, and was part of the winning mixed team relay. They won a silver medal that day. And has has raced a fair bit overseas internationally, so she has a lot of experience, and it was definitely one of the favourites coming into this event today.
So there she is, heading down to the city end of this run course. And then she'll turn around 180 degrees and she'll get a good look at the sort of splits she's got back to Olivia Cummings and Sophie Spencer behind her. Here's that turnaround as she swings past one of our male competitors. And it looks like Oliver Larcombe has gone through the 2/3 mark, the 2 mile mark in the 5K run. So he's got a 1:03, 1 minute 03 lead over Jack Staples, and then it's 7 seconds back from Jack to Sam Parry. So that's your standings currently. Oliver is extending that lead.
Yeah,
So
and he looks comfy. He knows. He's got 1:03, and yeah, it's a good race there for second and third there, with Jack sitting at 63 and Sam at 70 seconds behind, and it looks like Henry McMecking will be sitting in fourth after the first lap. So he's moving along well. He's smiling. He's high-fiving his mates on the other side. So yeah, he's looks like he's got this one in the bag.
So when he came out of T2, he had 59 seconds, and we thought, well, if someone pulls off an electric, like you say, low 15s, maybe sub 15 5K, he could reel him in. But now with less than a mile to go, just over a kilometre to go, you'd need to be pulling back in a minute, and that's not going to happen. So here he is. This is a bit of a victory lap now for Oliver Larcombe. He won last year, and right now all he has to do is put one foot in front of the other and make sure he gets home safely, and to claim another national schools title. And the other boys know it as well. Look at all these high fives.
It's awesome to see.
They realise the talent of this boy, and would have seen the way that he just put the foot down in that bike, stamped his mark on this race, and now just to solidify it is even pulling away in the run as well.
Yeah, definitely. He's well deserved. You know, he rolled the dice, said, I'm not waiting for the group. I'm a strong cyclist. You want to come and win this race, you have to come with me, and no one did. So, you know, I mean, he's sitting in front. We've got a 63-second lead back to Jack, and then another few seconds back to Sam Parry. And he's probably not very far away. We're probably about a couple of minutes away from him finishing this event here today. As we sort of just on the screen, we're looking at Bria. She looks like she's going to do her left-hand turn, coming off Bailey's Hill and making her way down to the turnaround. I believe it'll be lap 2 for...
Yeah, so this will be coming into lap 2, so
Yep.
completing her first lap of the run, and looking like she's got still a fair amount of breathing space. We've lost our splits for the females competition, so we'll when we can, we'll give you an update on that. But we can tell you that she is still in the lead, is Bria Roderick. And Oliver Larcombe, he's had a fantastic day at the office. We came out of the water with a pack of 6. That soon broke up as Oliver just hammered the first laps on the bike, got that break, and now he will come around the corner and should have a little look for home. Is this him just coming around the bend now? Yep, so just coming off the hill. Here he'll come around, see the finishing chute, and that will be a welcome sight for him, as he's had for at least half of this race. He's had it solo. And so Oliver Larcombe, he won this event last year down in Wanaka, comes up, gives his teammate a little high five, and here he goes. He's going to have a dominating win here at the New Zealand Schools Champs. There it is. There's the blue carpet here at the Tri-Taranaki Festival. Our New Zealand Schools Champ is going to be, for the second time, Oliver Larcombe. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together.
Dominating fashion. Well done, Oliver. 2 years in a row, third year in a row. You claimed the once under 16 2 years before that. So big congratulations to you.
And then we turn our attention towards second and third, because we know that Jack Staples and Sam Parry were neck and neck for so long. On the bike, working together. What has happened on the run? Have we had a break? Have any of the other boys caught up?
Yeah, it was only 7 seconds. It's nothing. They can still see each other. Jack gone too early and Sam just waiting. But, yeah, and it'll be interesting to see where 4th and 5th is as well. And it looks like we've got Jack Staples making his way down to the finish to claim second today here out of Christchurch. Great effort by him.
So here he comes, ladies and gentlemen, the second place getter in the under-19s, New Zealand Schools champs, Jack Staples. Well-deserved second place, pulling away in the run leg from Sam Parry. And here comes Sam Parry now. He will claim third.
Yeah, great effort by Sam. He's out of Manawatu, coached by Tammy Reid, so she'll be stoked for Sam to get onto the podium today. Sam recently just announced into the national North Island squads. So,
well, those three really separating themselves from that pack. We had 6 athletes come out of the swim, and Oliver took off the front, and then Sam and Jack were able to work together. And
yeah, when we just look on screen, we've got Bria. She's still moving along very, very well on her second lap here. So we've just lost our timing splits for the moment, but you know, it's going to be either Olivia or Sophie Spencer. They had a very good lead to 4th onwards. So I'd say those three will fulfill the podium here today. And we just see our 4th place getter coming over the line.
so Bria Roderick still in the lead here as she heads out along this Namotu road.
As we just see James Corbett out of Cambridge finishing today behind Henry McMecking.
So there's Abel. He featured strongly in the early stages of the race, looking like he is coming in towards finishing his race today. William Taylor crossing the finish line as well. So here's Bria Roderick. She will have another lap to run after this one. She's just heading up the hill, and she will shortly spin around and see the start-finish area, but then she'll have one more mile to go, one more 1.6K lap to run. So congratulations, Ivan Abel coming in, finishing his race off, hitting the blue carpet. Well done, Ivan. And Joseph Mortimer finishing off his sprint triathlon.
Test.
I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, well, I'm here at the finish line with the winner of the under-19 secondary schools today. This is Oliver Lacombe. He's out of St. Paul's Collegiate School out of Hamilton via Rotorua. 2 times in a row, last year in Wanaka. Tell us how the race went, mate.
Pretty good, just strong on the bike and then pulled through on the run. Had a bit of a miss sight in the swim, ended up coming in the back of the front group. I was like, not exactly what I wanted, but ended up working.
So when you came here today and you saw the hilly course, did you go into the race thinking that I needed to break with these boys up on the bike and get away?
Yes, that was objective one. That was destroy the bike, hang on the run.
And did you have school friends and family out there giving you splits throughout the race?
Yes, yep, sure did. I had my coach going back and forward with all the splits, and then once it opened up, it was alright. Felt good, comfortable.
Yeah, you're coached by Andrew Lloyd. He's from the Mount, who coaches you, and he'll be stoked to have you winning twice in a row. And you've been targeting this race all summer to win?
Yes, this is the main event for me this year.
Last year, under 19, are you wanting to go to World Champs later in the year?
Yes, if the world opens up.
I think we're all hoping it opens up. World Champs are in Bermuda later in the year. Quite a nice place in the world to go to, I dare say, so hopefully it opens up. But a big congratulations today to Oliver Lacombe, 2 times in a row repeating his under-19 title here at Namudu Beach in New Plymouth.
Thanks, Stephen. Very happy Oliver Lacombe. And one of his teammates crossing the finish line now as well, absolutely wrapped with that one. So Toby Finlayson, Hunter Gibson, all finishing off their day in the office. And talking about having a good day at the office is Bria Roderick, who has a clear bit of runway around her. She led with a 28-second lead off the first lap of the bike and continued to extend that lead over Olivia Cummings and Sophie Spencer. So we have Robbie White coming through the finish line area, Ethan McLaughlin as well. Finishing off there, boys under 19.
So we can't be too far away, Hayden, from seeing Bria Roderick make her way down to the finish. She's a lot like Oliver. She decided on the bike that she was not going to wait for the field, and she was going to take off and lead from start to finish. So we'll be keeping an eye on for her very soon.
So, from what we can tell with the splits we're getting through, Bria is still comfortably in the lead, with Sophie Spencer coming through the 3.3k, so that's the end of the second lap in second place, and then a couple of minutes back to Hannah Prosser in third position. But at the moment, it's all about this young woman, Bria Roderick, coming down Namutu Beach here. She'll have probably about 400 or 500 meters left to run at this stage.
As we see Alex Brackenbury just making his way to the finish of the under-19 boys. So just to remind you, after 2 laps of the run, we had Bria leading by 50 seconds from Sophie. So Sophie's running very, very well. We had Hannah Prosser at 2:49, followed by Natalia Carter at 2:57. 3:24 was Morgan Flanagan, 4:19 to Charlotte Brown, and 4:33 to Fallon Roy. So that was at the end of 2 laps with 1 lap to go. Sophie Spencer had pulled out probably 8 seconds on Bria over those first 2 laps, but had a 50-second lead.
So into this last lap, it's definitely looking like there could be a little battle for third place with Hannah Prosser and Natalia Carter. Very close, but Bria Roderick, she will come around that corner very soon and catch a glimpse of the finish line. She's had a great old morning here at Namotu. So there she is on your screens. She's going to turn that corner, and that's when she'll get a sight of the Tri-Taranaki finish banner. And here she comes.
Yeah, if you're milling around the transition area, make your way over to the finish line now and bring home Bria Roderick, who's going to win the under-19 secondary schools and New Zealand event today. A lot like Oliver, decided that they wanted to go out on their own and put on a dominant performance and win here today.
Yeah, really made the most of this tricky bike course and opened up a 28-second lead right out on that first lap of the bike and just has extended that lead out. Here comes Bria Roderick, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together. She's your under-19s champion. Bria Roderick will take the title and will bust the tape. Here she is. So a great result there from Bria, and we believe that Sophie Spencer is sitting in second place, and she shouldn't be too far away. Is that her just coming around the corner? So great running from all of these athletes. And
as we
Sophie
see
Spencer, here she comes. She's going to claim second place in this under-19s race. Bria got the early break, but she has proved her run legs and claims second place. Sophie Spencer. And then at the last time check, it was Hannah Prosser who wasn't too far behind. So let's see when Hannah comes around that corner. She'll have the finish line in her sights as Isaac Rea comes across the finish line. Well done, Isaac, from St. Paul's. St. Paul's having a good day at the office. And Morgan Lee. Here comes Matthew Mitchell finishing off his day. And Bailey Fredrickson. All right, and here comes Hannah Prosser. She was third in the under-16s last year. This year, she has run her way into that third position. Well done, Hannah Prosser. Natalia Carter will come through in fourth position. So very close for that third and fourth. Hannah just edging out Natalia. And Morgan Flanagan coming through was part of that big pack of ladies on the bike. And comes through with a great run to finish off her sprint triathlon.
So I'll just interrupt you there, Hayden. I'm just down at the finish line with Bria Roderick, who's just won the under-19 championships here. She's just informed me that it's the first ever national title that she's ever won. Did the race go to plan?
Yeah, it did. My plan was just to stick at the front for the swim and then hit it hard first lap of the bike to get a break and then just hold it off on the run, and I did exactly that.
We saw you come out of the swim. You had Sophie Spencer and Olivia Cummings with you. Did you? We look like this head down. I don't want to wait for the run with them. Did you know the strengths of Sophie, who got second today in her running?
Yeah, I knew both of them could run really well, and I just knew that I had to hit it hard on the bike to ruin their legs. And if they stuck with me, they did. If they didn't, they didn't.
So what are your thoughts of the course here in New Plymouth?
Oh, I love the course. I love a hill and a hard kind of strength course. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. That's for sure.
And this will go a long way towards you getting selected for World Championships in Bermuda later in the year. Was that the plan, to try and qualify for that?
Yeah, for sure, that was the plan, and hopefully it goes ahead because that'd be a good goal to work towards over winter.
And end of season now, a bit of a break now. Have you got any more events coming up, or you can put your feet up and relax a little bit? I know you're at uni at the moment. A bit more attention to uni for a little bit of time now.
Yeah, I'm definitely back to the books tonight, that's for sure. But yeah, kind of head into an off-season break real soon, just maybe a week or two after, then back into that winter grind.
Wicked. So that's Bria Roderick winning today the Under-19 Championships here in Namutu, New Plymouth.
Well, there we are. That's our champion for the Under-19s sprint triathlon here, Bria Roderick. What a great race from her. And so we are going to take a break here from Ngā Motu for our live stream on Sky Sport Next. So thank you for tuning into the coverage. We'll be back later this afternoon with the tag team. But for now, my name is Hayden Sherman. Ka kite anō.